Interesting.
So these guys are arrogant. They have a pre-assassination party to get rid of Kennedy. How much fun, man, you know?
Now, this is a little further down the line. I understand what the motivation was on the part of the CIA. They were doing like a preemptive strike because they felt that he was going to do them more evil if he should second time around. So I can understand where they're coming from. They were afraid of being disbanded or more regulated or whatever, weeded out. How does Jimmy Carter get away with firing 100 CIA agents with no repercussions?
One, he's the president, okay? These guys can serve at will. Second, it's Stansfield Turner who's firing them, the director. He's the director. He can do whatever he wants. He's just firing these men. And what are they going to say? No? Oh, you don't? Well, why don't we go to the board and present that you killed Lumumba, that you're involved in Kennedy's assassination, that you killed all these people in South Vietnam under Project Phoenix. Why don't we go and tell the American people that? Okay, I'll resign. Do I get my pension? You know? So he did us a great favor. Yeah, there's no problem firing those guys. That's what they should have done. That's what Kennedy would have done. You know, no problem firing those guys. The only thing is, did others take their place? You know, more graduates, you know, more guys who think like them. I don't know.
You have a real mind for minutia. Thank you for all your hard work.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Thank you for your answers, too.
It kind of just sticks in my head when I read government documents.
Thank you.
On that party the night before, I heard that by another source that was on satellite radio telling the whole story, and he has inside information from some of the people that were there, that what had happened is Lyndon Johnson came in at 11:30, and by that time all the people that they did not want to be in this meeting had gone home, and the diehards stayed on. He says, and Lyndon walks in and he says, okay, it looks like everybody's gone home. Now we can get to our meeting. And they went off and had their meeting, and he came out afterwards and told his girlfriend that that John F. Kennedy was not going to bother him anymore, and this was not a threat, but it was a promise. And then, evidently there was other people around that heard that, and that's what happened.
Here's what I do know, because I read stuff, and there's stuff I read, and then I only trust stuff I read in government documents. Senator Schweiker, 1975, has got this document in front of him. He's got Carther DeLoach right in front of him, third in command of the FBI. There's a memo. It's dated April 1967. In it, Marvin Watson, special assistant to the president, was talking to the president in an off moment, and Johnson said he is now convinced that the CIA assassinated Kennedy. Marvin Watson goes to Carther DeLoach, tells him, Carther DeLoach writes it down, sends it to Tolson, second in command, and this is all 1967, and now 1975, Schweiker has the document in front of him, and he's asking Carther DeLoach all these things, and DeLoach is trying to weasel his way out. But I know for certain by April '67, Johnson knew that the CIA killed Kennedy. I'm thinking maybe that's why he didn't run for president in '68. The only question is, does he know before the assassination? He knows after. I mean, it's his people, the oil people, H.L. Hunt. It's J. Edgar Hoover. It's Richard Holmes. I don't know if he knew before or after. That's apparently he knew before, but I don't know. You know, that big coward, I can't see that guy riding in that motorcade knowing all those bullets are coming in, personally, okay?
Another tidbit too,
because he doesn't want to get hit, you know? You're a couple cars behind Kennedy, and Kennedy's going to be shot, and bullets are coming in, and you like your life. I don't know if he would like to be in that motorcade.
We've had a man here that's come here a number of times to speak, Mike Rupert, who is an expert shot, was in the military, qualified as an expert. He took a visit to that upper floor there where Oswald was supposedly had shot Kennedy. He says no way could any expert shooter even shoot that good and kill Kennedy like that. From that distance, from obstructions that were there and things like that. So that was his take on it.
Was LAPD?
Yes, he was LAPD. I forget which part of the LAPD he worked in, but he worked here quite a while.
The Crenshaw district, the really rough district.
Yeah. Well, that's probably why they got 3 guys firing at the same time. Someone's got to hit them.
You know, this was such a massive conspiracy, and it necessitated collusion from so many different departments. You had the CIA, the FBI, the military, the news media, the Dallas police, the mafia, other people. I mean, who had the power really to create such a collusion? I tend to think that the only force that had that kind of power is the New World Order, the financial elite. The CIA alone and the military, they had a lot of power, but did they have power to coalesce all these different groups? I think not.
Yeah.
I think the order came from the highest financial circles of the world.
I kind of don't know. I know the CIA did it. I know they got to get the economic elite to say okay. I know they got to get the military to say okay. The question I always had was, did Helms take it upon himself, or was he ordered to? You know, and you're suggesting he was ordered to. Part of that economic elite would be David Rockefeller in New York. He's the one who's losing the most in Latin America. He's got all this business in Latin America. The Latinos are taking it left and right. Kennedy's doing nothing. As soon as Kennedy's killed, what happens in Latin America? 64. Brazil, military. One after another, those countries become military dictatorships. We get back our businesses. David Rockefeller gets back his money. So isn't Rockefeller supposed to be one of these guys? You know,
He's one of them. There's a whole bunch, a constellation of them. But you know, the financial elite have a history of doing that with our presidents. McKinley went down also. Abraham Lincoln, Andrew Jackson. Many of our congressmen have been killed because of being an obstacle to the super financial elite. You got Congressman Wright Patman, Congressman McFadden, James Forrestal. I mean, there's a whole line of people, a whole line of assassinations historically. The super financial elite have been in power for 200 or 300 years.
I know. Studying ancient history, there's 2 Roman brothers. They got it from their own class. They just wanted to give a little bit to the middle class Romans, and they took them both out one at a time. Yeah, I guess it's a pattern, you know, pattern to be aware of, especially if you're in politics.
Thank you. Did you ever read the book by Sid Lufton's Best Evidence?
David Lifton.
David Lifton.
I spoke to him for a long time. All assassination researchers kind of know each other. If we don't know each other personally, we know their works, right? So I'm talking to David Lifton for an hour and a half because he wants to know why I think it's Richard Helms. And when I go on why it's Richard Helms, then I talk about his theory, the altered body, and I had agreed as well. I just thought that maybe the alteration happens in Dallas. That Kennedy never gets on that plane, his corpse, because they're already set up. Here's the Parkland Hospital. There's elevator goes right down to the ground floor. Underground passageway, where does it go? To the teaching hospital, 100 yards away. I think they're all set up to do the autopsy right there. And that's why this Rose, the coroner down there, is so adamant about Kennedy's not leaving the body. You can't take it, boo, 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 boo. No, he's doing that because he's been ordered to keep the body there, you know, for the autopsy. So me and Lifton, we agree, and he's the expert on it. But the only difference is I say they did it in Dallas, then flew him out to Washington. He says, you know, the body got to Andrews Air Force Base and then is picked up and then taken perhaps to Walter Reed. Either way, you do a pre-autopsy on him, which makes sense, you know.
He said his brain was doctored in the flight. Actually, I think if I remember, that's what he mentioned.
Well, you have to. If I shoot you in the right temple and it goes out the back of the head, there's going to be a path. You gotta do something. You gotta distort it, you know. Otherwise, the shot's coming from the front, isn't it? Yeah, these guys know what they're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Besides the CIA, which we've covered extensively, what connection do you know the Israeli Mossad may have had? Because Michael Collins Piper talked about that. You've heard of the Permadex connection and that sort of thing. Final judgment?
Yeah.
Change the name. But what brings to mind, I recently listened to a cassette tape by a guy named Friedman. I forget his last name. It's an old cassette, but he maintained that JFK was in a secret war with Israel on whether they should go nuclear or not. And of course they did after the assassination. and it appears that they've helped other countries do the same, or selling a lot of arms secretly. I'm just wondering if that had any, in your research, anything to do with the whole bag.
I didn't see anything either in government documents or in his public papers. But remember, you got to fill all those parameters. Can the Mossad penetrate the Secret Service? Can they get the FBI to say Oswald did it? Do they got an Oswald imposter? Do they have access to the emergency room to put the fake bullet? No, not really. You know, I'm not taking anything away from those guys. They know how to do the job too. But no, you know, you're going to shoot the President of the United States, your only ally, in a sea of enemies? No, I don't think so. Johnson's going to be better? I don't know. Probably not. Big old Texan from the South, you know. Let's take the Ivy Leaguer. I don't know. I don't think Mossad. I bet Mossad figured it out, though. I bet they figured it out real quick.